Ow. Alright guys, I got a video for you on the Acadia today. It's kind of a quick-ish thing, information-wise, to help some people out, because I had someone decide to go under here and do something out of good intentions, and now there are issues, and I don't know exactly what the issues are, but backstory is, here's the overflow tank for on the Acadia. Here, you'll look at the top. Maybe you can read that. It'll say fill cold. Okay, full cold right there. All right, that up here is not the line for full cold. There's a line and an arrow that falls around here. And if you go over here and you look down, you'll see that little knot that sticks out. That's the full line for when it's cold. Okay, now when you look under here into the jug, you can see the coolant level right now. All right, it is below that full cold line. Okay, apparently when someone decided to look underneath here, they said that the reservoir was completely empty and they added stuff to it. Without my knowledge, I came out here the other day to just a puddle of coolant on the ground under here that was leaking a little bit, and then when the car came back after that, it was just pissing coolant to like this giant spot under here. It is dried up here. Okay. The coolant and this thing, it's not a closed, well, it's a closed pressurized system, but it's not like completely closed through the reservoir. As the coolant heats up, it expands and it goes from that full line up higher into the reservoir. The coolant level was, all the way up here somewhere. I don't exactly know where it's supposed to be when it gets to full operating temperature. I never really pay attention, but I also never had the issue of, after getting filled up, it just starts dumping, pissing coolant all over the place. So there are a couple of options here that could be happening, and I'm going to ask you guys if you have any idea to let me know what you think. But it could be that the coolant got very low for some reason. The new coolant, whatever antifreeze, is going through here and is being cycled in and is burping the air out. I mean, because that's what it needs to do, and burps air out and all that. That's perfectly fine. The only thing is, though, on that situation is you got a little air burp vent valve here. Okay, if I look at the coolant reservoir, you can tell that there were little coolant got here, spilled when it was filled up, and it got wiped off. All right, this entire wheel well down here, which you can't see because it's dark, had coolant puddled up in it, and it was running out. And on the bottom side, up under here, if we go down, you can see some drops right there on that cross member. Okay, so it's still slowly dripping. There's some right there as well. Okay, it's still slowly dripping. Oh, there's some more right there too. And I have no idea where from. So the highest point up here at the engine is right here, where the focus. Okay, right there, where the radiator hose comes in and ties into a metal neck of some sort, and that is the outlet, apparently, because it has a flow direction on the arrow going this way. So that would be the return hose. The feed hose right there goes over to this side engine, comes through, works its way through. On this side over here is where the water pump is. And when the car is running, the water pump is dripping slowly. Well, I should say there is coolant coming from behind the pulley on the water pump, which is, I don't know if you're going to be able to focus. Okay, if you see the metal, you have the, here's my finger, rubber hose, metal hose where it ties in. Directly below that, it'll focus when I pull my hand out. You'll see the black of a pulley sticking out. That's the water pump. Slowly dripping out the water pump. From behind there would be like a drip, okay? Something like that. Not nearly enough to dump out as much coolant as been being dumped out. And of course, because this is a stupid ass front wheel drive bias car, it's mounted horizontally, and you can't see shit ever. I hate front wheel drive for everything. You can't do anything or see anything on it. So when I'm laying underneath the car and looking with the engine running, I can see just the little drips coming from behind there, but I mean, it's coolant pissing out from everywhere, somewhere else over here. Nothing up here at the top. It's all below this in an area that cannot be seen. So I have right now a new water pump on the way. And water pumps, they have weep holes in them. Now I'll put a little picture right here. And what that does is when the water pump starts to wear out, the weep hole, it doesn't leak when the car's running. The weep holes sit there and drip coolant while the car is sitting there parked, so you can come out and see that there is a puddle of coolant underneath the car to know that's time to change that out. That's not an issue that's happening now. This is pissing out while it's running. And I cannot see where that is coming from at all. And this issue only happened after somebody added coolant to the overflow. And the overflow hose is right here. And that runs right into back into the radiator there. It comes up over here. But the coolant is coming from over here. All right. I have, at this moment right now, no clue where that is coming from. Like I said, I have a water pump on order, but I don't think that isn't necessarily the issue. Looking back there, there's a heater hose lines, and watching where those go. Like they tie in there, kind of hard line over to something, and then they tie back in over there to, I think, probably right where the heater core is behind the dash. Wow, that's a bitch to get to. So I am kind of lost. So the moral idea behind this video, I guess, is to say that, hey, if you're going to fill this up, that's the full line when cold, don't overfill it. And secondly, now I got a leak coming from somewhere because it was filled up, I don't know how high. Supposedly a lot was added and is now sitting below the full cold line, but is being dumped, the coolant is being dumped out from somewhere that I cannot see or find. If you have any idea, if you've experienced this, please let me know, because I kind of perplexed at the moment, and I don't have the time to just rip this all apart and let it sit for a while to try and track that leak down. So if you have any idea, please let me know. And that's all I got for today, guys. Yeah, it's less informational for you guys, and a little more informational for me trying to figure it out. I'm going to research this, but just take away from that the full line is not up here. It's down there. All right, guys, like, comment, subscribe, and by all, please comment if you know what this is coming from, and I will see you guys next time. Okay, addendum. So what I ended up doing is I pulled the shroud that goes over here to be able to get to the fill tank on the radiator, the fill cap, and I figured, like, well, okay, if it is burping, or if it needs to burp, I'm gonna go through and like actually kind of like burp this correctly. So I pulled this off and I filled it up with coolant, and topped it all off. I started running the car and going through the burping process, and I also removed this cover because this cover covers up a bunch of shit. And it was good for, I don't know, about 5 minutes before it got to maybe like 180 or something on the gauge. And then I was standing over here and I just see stuff, and I was like, well, at first I saw stuff falling down like it was raining, and I look around, there's wet, and I shine a light down there and I can see that the pulley in the belt is throwing coolant up in the air. And as you can see, there's a puddle from when I stopped it like a while ago. So I'm thinking for sure it's definitely the water pump. And the only other thing that the water pump could be is this water outlet up here. I have one of those just in case as well. Since that is the highest point, it could potentially be leaking down below it onto the belt and getting thrown up. But I think it's probably more likely going to be the water pump. Apparently the water pumps on these, when they start going, they go from almost like nothing to like fire hose levels of dumping coolant out. So that's what it'll be. Next video, you'll see me swapping this out and getting frustrated. All right, later.